Was described as the eighth wonder of the world by former President Donald Trump, the $10 billion Foxconn investment in an LCD plant in Racine County that never arrived. That land remains mostly empty, but we're learning new fascinating details about what happened behind closed doors to try and make it work. There is a new book that comes out tomorrow, Flying Eagle. Its author, a former Foxconn executive who describes himself as the chief negotiator of the project. That author is joining us live. Alan Young, born and raised in Hong Kong. I didn't realize this until we flipped through the pages here. You are a Wisconsin Badger, UW graduate. You now call Waukesha County home. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Proudly to be a Badger coming home to Wisconsin.
Well, the book is called Flying Eagle. That was Foxconn's code name for the project here in the United States. And on the back of the book here, you say, this book is a memoir and a triumph for those who dare to dream big in the United States of America. Triumph and Foxconn are two words that not a lot of people are putting together right now. Why'd you write this book?
I write this book because I want to tell the true story of Project Flying Eagle. Many people know about President Trump and Chairman Terry Gou. Some may know even Jared Kushner and Louis Wu, but there are other unsung heroes. For example, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin were very supportive. People like former Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett, County Executive Chris Abley. These people and others made this a bipartisan effort. And that's one of the reasons why Foxconn is in Wisconsin.
Well, I'm interested to hear you call them heroes with this project, because when I was reading the book, it kind of felt like different realities here. There's the reality that you described in the book, the $10 billion investment, the 13,000 jobs. It was supposed to be the largest investment from a foreign company on U.S. soil. And then there's the reality of really what exists down there in Racine County. It's a fraction of the jobs. The LCD plant never arrived. It feels like there were chapters missing about broken promises. You didn't write about that. Why did the original plan fail?
Well, I don't think this is a failure. Anytime the company invests over $1 billion, and I believe there's another $600 million to go, and the state and local government co-invest with the company, not to mention that we have federal funding, for example, from US DOT to expand on the Interstate 94 as part of infrastructure improvement. So every time I drive on Interstate 94, going from Milwaukee to the state line into Illinois, I felt very proud that it became an eight-lane highway. I felt many of us actually work together to make it happen. But truth to be told, business conditions change, but also the business environment in Wisconsin changed dramatically too. I hope it would be better, and I'm optimistic it would be better.
I want to ask you about that because I've heard people describe that the business part of this changed, but I didn't realize this until I read your book. This was a constantly changing project. I mean, Terry Gou, the chairman of Foxconn, originally had a $20 billion plan, and then he didn't know where he wanted to spend it. He was thinking about putting a big plant in Ohio and then maybe a smaller one in Wisconsin. Then he was thinking maybe he wanted to put a flash memory company here in Wisconsin. That's a company he didn't even have. He was trying to buy one from a Japanese company, and that plan fell through. It ended up at the last second, it seemed like, you know what, I'm going to build this giant company in Wisconsin, and maybe I'll put something smaller in Ohio. That's not what we were sold when we had the big announcement in the White House and when there was the big announcement here at the Art Museum. It seemed like that there was a $10 billion LCD plant happening all the time. But even in your pages, you say this was constantly changing.
Well, Foxconn is one of the great companies of the world, and they've been successful for 40-some years. And therefore, I think, as many people have said, including Secretary Mark Hogan, you have to provide some flexibility for business to thrive. And that's what we were looking for in partners in the states such as Wisconsin and Ohio and other states. So we met with Governor Walker, and we were very, very confident and comfortable with the partners that we would work with here from state to local government. Obviously, the market condition changed, and we wanted to stay with the LCD fab, and I think that story will come in the second book, and I'm not going to tell you that until that book comes along.
There are some really interesting stories in here. Even you admit that you didn't really know if an LCD factory would work in Wisconsin. You actually thought it would work better on the East Coast, but Terry Goh really, he was all in. He really liked Scott Walker, and he wanted to put it here in your words. There was also some really other interesting stories. You say this thing for Wisconsin almost fell apart from the start because Governor Walker says he couldn't meet with you guys. You guys gave governors about 24 hours to make it to Washington, and the governor initially said he couldn't be there, right?
Well, it is a way for any business enterprise, especially Chairman Goh, to actually gauge the commitment. And we had the same conversation and arrangement with the federal government, with the White House. And if President Trump does not support this project, and he did, we would not come to America and invest. His policy, his personal commitment made it possible. By the same token, Governor Walker was by far ahead of everybody else in demonstrating the leadership. And that's why we picked Wisconsin over other states. And that's why Chairman Goh decided to put the so-called big fab, the Gen 10.5 fab here in Wisconsin. I think that has never been unwavering. On the other hand, business conditions change. We were committed to do that, even though proposing we will build a Gen 6 fab first and then build a Gen 10.5 later. That somehow didn't go very well with the administration, and that became part of the story that will come out in the second book.
Well, Alan Young, appreciate your time. There are some interesting stories in here. Terry Goh spent a night down at the Grand Geneva and thought about buying it. There's interactions with the president. Here's the book. It is called Flying Eagle by former Foxconn executive Alan Young. It hits Amazon tomorrow in both paperback and Kindle. Alan, thanks for your time.